try this for, if anybody comes through, just what's the happening, just seeing what's going on, seeing something that's happening. Um, I already did a video where I said I'm not wasting my time with NBA All-Star Weekend. I mean that. I have no reason to watch that mess. That mess is just as fake as these award shows. So I won't be participating in none of it. You know, I have memories of old All-Star games, which I'll remember, but I don't take part in this mess that it's just pretty bad all the way around, you know. The game has lost its luster. It doesn't have any meaning really. And so now you're stuck with this mumble jumble of what they're trying to do and have cats going like crazy and going off and stuff. So I'm not really gonna partake in that, but um, you know, I have memories of different all-star games and stuff. So I'm just checking out some things. That's all. So what's up? What's up? Yeah, I'm gonna be on here for a little while. If you wanna holler, I'll be here for a minute. I got about half hour. Because I'll be on longer tomorrow. Had to step out tonight, but be on a lot longer tomorrow. Because I gotta get my munch on in about. So we can talk if you're up for about 30, 40 minutes. Let's chop it up. If that's cool. Give me something to eat. So I'll be on for about a half hour to an hour. Yeah, he did, and I did a video about it too. How does the defensive coordinator get let go when they elected to receive the ball first in overtime? The rules have been out in overtime. If you're a football fan, you know Kansas City was part of the game with the Buffalo Bills, which went to overtime. And because of Josh Allen and the way Mahomes played, they want everybody to get a fair shake in overtime. So how do you not know this? Because Shanahan's butt should have been fired. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what else you need to show that he's inept. Y'all made a bad call on offense. You gonna blame the defense? Well, that's Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. That's a special quarterback. You don't have one. I know exactly what Shannon Sharp was getting at, and I will give Shannon Sharp some dap for calling out Purdy. You got to win that game. They've been saying you a game manager. They've been saying you're one trick pony. You shut them up or you fall into their hands. That's how I look at it. But he didn't do that. So, back to drawing board. And Shanahan back to drawing board. And if Purdy gets hurt, what's your backup plan? So it's just a freak show. Freak show. Anyway. So, but yeah, Wilkes got a bad deal. He deserves better than that. But they didn't fire. If they win the Super Bowl, I don't think he gets fired. Yeah, he would have. McCaffrey would have been busting. I would have lived with that. One thing about Patrick Mahomes, no matter what style he's going through, you don't give him too many cracks at the rock. He does just enough to pull it out. You don't want that. And the 49ers, are becoming like a bad tribute act. I mean, they lost to this man 2 times in 2 different ways, but they were at 10-point leads. They picked them off in the third quarter, and they found a way to choke the end. I mean, really? Purdy did miss a pass too, but not as legendary as Jimmy G, but still. But I think Purdy will last longer. Jimmy G's career never was the same after he missed Sanders on that fade. So, take your pick. Take your pick. So, but that's where the cookie crumbles. Jimmy G makes that pass. He's still quarterback in the 49ers. And Shanahan looks like a genius. So, it's one if could have, would have, should have. It's like the Floyd Mayweather syndrome. Because Floyd he beats you ugly. But if he ever had a night where he hit a combo on you, then you're stomped. That's what the great ones do. They can beat you different ways. They beat you different ways. That's what the great ones do. If you're a finesse cat, That's all you know, you gotta win a certain way. If you're a rough rider, you gotta win a certain way. But if you can be a hybrid, you're scary. You're a tweener, you're scary. So, and Mahomes is scary now, and he's only 28. Come on now. And you know he's got about 4 or 5 years of top level in the tank. It means at least 2 more rings. And no one's gonna catch him. And people hate it when you tell them that he retired today, tomorrow. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, which he is. He's got stats galore riding in his favor. He's got history in his favor. Believe it or not, where he is right now as a quarterback is even ahead of where Tiger Woods was a golfer. That's the scary part because, you know, yeah, but the thing about it was, okay, the first game when they beat him in that championship game, they shut him out the first half, but Mahomes did come back and tied at 17 going to overtime. Brady just hit, there was that one offside play by Kansas City, and Brady hit 2, 3, and third and tens. It wasn't like he spanked him. Now, the second one, the Super Bowl, you can make, I hold one of them more accountable than the other one, to be honest with you, and to be fair to Mahomes, you know. That Super Bowl you can hold against him more than you can the AFC Championship game. That was just that AFC Championship game could have gone out of the way. And he was a puppy at the time too. I do put where you are in your career because I don't hold him in the same accountability as I do now. He don't beat him now. He beat him then. But Brady knew he was coming. He knew. Sometimes you just know. There's certain guys you got that cadence that you just think, okay, this guy, he's coming. So the defense was effective more so the second time. They almost got caught up at the AFC Championship game. The scary part, if he had beaten them in that AFC Championship game, that would have been the scary part. So, but Brady was clutch, and they came up with some big plays. And I'm not taking nothing away. But just because someone beat you something like that does not mean that you're not better than them. Don't let that. That's just like the argument that people like to always say about Olajuwon and Shaq, and like Shaq was better. Olajuwon was a more fluid, incredible athlete. I'll give you that. But he couldn't. He didn't have Shaq's body of work. He wasn't seeing Shaq's peak and prime. Olajuwon's best two was not the same. Oh, well, they always in the back in the day. I mean, most of them were in the 80s, late 70s, early in the 80s. I mean, in the moments, Magic getting that MVP 92 because we just didn't know what was going to happen. And he played great that game. But most of my favorite All Star, being honest with you, and not trying to just, be funny, but most of it was back late 70s, early 90s because early 90s because before it became a freak show. I mean, it's been a joke. I mean, you can make the point when the Kobe Jordan 101 ISO 98. The 2003 didn't end well when Jordan had the foul. Kobe got the foul thing. Some people are upset by that. 2001 was cool. I'll probably give you that. Probably that Jordan last one. I'll give you that. But even that was kind of, I think Tracy McGrady threw the ball off the backboard. It was kind of janky. I haven't really felt them like I did back in the day. Because let me give you an example. This is why I have a problem with them in the modern way. There is no surprise MVP in All-Star game. So that's one of the problems. I can tell you that back in the day, so I lived in Buffalo, grew up in Buffalo, and there was a player named Randy Smith. He won an MVP, I think it's 79 or something like that. And Tom Chambers winning one. Guys that you wouldn't assume playing with the Magic Johnson or playing with somebody, and they had those games where they just like an all-star or the feeling. That's what I'm talking about. You know how you always like talk about maybe a scrub having an out of body or somebody coming out that you least expect? That's what they used to mean. There is no unexpected no more. There is no more unexpected no more. These things are so fixed and so predictable that they're just not really exciting. So my best memories are yesteryear. And I tell you to get on YouTube and watch them late 60s, 70 All-Star games, 80s All-Star games. And you come back to me and you tell me if you ain't noticed a difference in quality. Because the way they played All-Star game back then, they don't play regular games like that today. I'm just keeping it 100. Them guys back then took pride in it. And once the old guard went away in the 90s or something, it really deteriorated. And I haven't cared about an All-Star game in pretty much 20 years. And when you get guys going up crazy, oh yeah, because they ball because the cat's something to prove. And they had something to prove. ABA guys could hang. I told you before, that's why I did that video about Dr. J. You know, which just goes to show you can challenge the status quo. You can challenge a major league if you got the product. If you do, you can. If you don't, but they always want. That's what the NFL does with the XFL, USFL. That was how it was in the 80s. Herschel Walker was there. Doug Flutie was there. Trump was the president of New Jersey General. Steve Young was there. Jim Kelly was there. And a lot of cats went to the USFL for the Upstart League. See, it was back before all this conglomerate stuff. Because Rick Barry tell him what he think. That's why. White boy who actually, even though I won't say he's one of them white boys that think he black or nothing, but I'll say this. He talked the kind of talk that the white folks don't like to hear. That's what. And when a white boy does that, he will even get white out by white folks. And he happens to be that white dude. And George Gervin was one of those cats who didn't sit there and kiss the rings either. He knew his finger roll was lethal. He knew what he had. Now, was he going to be a guy that was going to win champs? No. But as individualized and his talent, skill set, Gervin is as cold as almost anybody that's ever played the game because you couldn't stop that finger roll. He just played for crap teams. He didn't have the luxury of playing with Dave Robinson and Tim Duncan. No, because he wasn't going to kiss the ring. That's why. Or he wasn't drugged up like Bill Walton. You got to be willing to defer and hold your ankles on them networks. I'm telling you, especially if you're if you're in player professional, because they want you to be even more stiff and just tight and just lie. I ain't lying. I ain't lying. I am not lying. You see guys come on there who overtalk, try to be animated, try to fit in, try to say stuff. Rick Barry didn't do that. Rick Barry be telling you point blank because he's an analytical guy who tells you the way you're supposed to do it. And then he tells you the way the coaches and what they see you as a player. That's the difference. He told Shaq, he said, you should shoot the ball underhanded. You'd be a better shooter. Shooting free throws, you'd be more lethal. Just telling you. Now his son sucked in the NBA. Then I know Brett Barry had his Eminem moment, I know, but the dunk contest, but he wasn't that memorable. He's more memorable for trying to mac on Tony Parker's wife, but that's another video, another story. Whatever that mess went down. Bones Barry. He did, because Rob is a step and fetch. Okay. He's still up here trying to downplay Mahomes. I mean, what he talk. He hating on Steph Curry too. But he'd be talking. Now I'm gonna say this for the Rocket. Let me address this real quick. No, I ain't never say Steph Curry's top 5. I said top 10. Oh yeah. 10-9, yeah. And if he wins another ring, he moves up top 5 ever. Because then body of work and all that would, yeah. Then you think about points and all that. But he's top 10. You can't even argue change the game. It's a no skill position level. But I like it when Rob Park gets told off because he slurps too much. He's a slurpee. And it's hard for me to take most of his stuff serious how he be slurping. He's been around too long, but you see, he's trying to get that old man pension. That's what's up. These cats know better. They know better. They say stuff for clicks and views. They say stuff to be liked. All these cats just all think LeBron is the second best player, all by coincidence? Yeah, okay. All in the same unison? Yeah, okay. Well, RG3 was corny, but what he's doing against Mahomes is because, and I ain't bragging, so let me get this straight. There's no brag, but I think I'm one of the few people that's actually pointed out the elephant in the room about Mahomes being black and that you ain't never had a black quarterback mentioned in the GOAT status before. And that's the fact. And it's the racism of the NFL. I haven't heard anyone else talk about it like that. So I call the NFL on their hypocrisy and their racist ways. Because Warren Moon had to wait 40 years ago. I remember when he was playing in Houston. He had to wait 5 or 6 years to go to Canada. He had to be American citizen player, but go to Canada to play because the racist NFL didn't push black starting quarterbacks. And I know you're gonna mention Jack Thompson, the Flying Samoan. That's right. He lost 6 years of his career. That's the equivalent to 10. Okay. That's 12, really, because you're an NFL quarterback and you're lost out. So you're middle already in a situation where you gotta learn the system, learn the division, learn the plays, and you're usually with a team that's almost bottom feeder or not gonna be that good. That's what he had to deal with. That's what I'm telling you. You know, they did brothers cold back then. And if they had Bill Polian around, he'd still be doing brothers cold, you know. So I don't be trying to hear what they gotta say. I don't. I know how racist it was. No one will ever call him out on it because you're not gonna hear the positive. That's why I don't take them seriously because they don't talk about race enough in the context. When we talking about quarterbacks, a position of authority, they don't push that. They never say, well, hey, yeah, this is a new day and age. Who are they kidding? When Doug Williams dominated Denver, they did not make a big deal about it. Randall Cunningham, they were kind of like, wow, his talent level. Though despite McNair and a few others, it wasn't until Michael Vick came and they were like, whoa. And then Cam. But you got to remember what happened with Kaepernick, they downplayed that. But you got to wonder, Frisco, I can't stand it either but you know what? If that's the case, then how come Colin Kaepernick at the very least doesn't have a blazer on? How come he ain't on a participate with the NFL? Because you're doing everything that he talked about, but you had Jay-Z talking about we passed kneeling, okay? So you're basically giving Colin Kaepernick his flowers without giving him the rose, okay? It's fake because they don't believe it. They don't practice what they preach. If they did, they'd have more than 5 or 6 black head coaches in the NFL. They'd have general managers, they have owners, and they would consider getting Roger Goodell's behind out of there. Because that's the point. That's the point. I'd give Brian Leftwich a job in Washington before I give some old Rusty Dan Quinn a job. I tell you that much. You see what I'm talking about. You see what I'm talking about. Now, it's one thing if you give give Harbaugh a gig because he's coming off of Michigan. I understand that. And plus, he did show something when he coached the 49ers. He did get to Super Bowl runner-up. But Dan Quinn, who choked the Super Bowl, and his defenses look horrible, and you telling me that you can't give Leftwich an opportunity? What gives? What gives? So, no, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah, but it's more because of the coach. It's more going to be as a coordinator, not so much as a quarterback. He was a good quarterback in spurts. He was credible. I'll say he was credible. He was credible. And I think right now he could actually do wonders for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Because Trevor's kind of bordering on teetering on kind of falling a little bit. But I'm not taking nothing from Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, he got my respect for life quarterbacks, but just saying. But yeah. I still remember when Fred Taylor that game against Miami, that playoff game 63-7. I don't even think his jersey got dirty. He busted Miami's butt. That's when Jimmy Johnson got messed up pretty bad. Hair got met the whole thing. They got blew up. Jones Drew was bad off of kickoff returns. He was quicker than he appeared to be. Yeah, they had talent there. They had talent there. Fred Taylor is underrated too. I'm good with that. I like both those cats. Both of them. So yeah. But yeah, I don't like that mess by the NFL. I don't either. I don't care for it. It's hokey. It's hokey. They don't mean it. See, don't put nothing out there if you don't mean it. Don't say it unless you mean it. So he was a great fit in New Orleans. As a matter of fact, he was a better fit than Reggie Bush was. Deuce was nice. Deuce was nice. They had a talented team. That's why I look at Sean Payton and Drew Brees like y'all got one ring, but considering the skill cats you had, Colston was nice. I mean, they've had some cats. You know, they just ain't cashed it in all the way. So Give you that. Ricky, I thought Ricky was good. I wouldn't call him a bum. I just never thought he was great. I know he fumbled that ball for Frisco against Dallas, and that kind of hurt him, but I never thought of him as great. I thought he was good. Corey Dillon, when he got to New England, whatever he was, he got to be good. He left out, came in like a man with a briefcase, and came out with $1 million stack. So I thought they both were good, but I don't, I'll put them in the high, middle, second tier level, career wise. They both won. They weren't guys that I thought were going to be great players, though. So that's why I can't call them bums because they actually did do good respectively. When Ricky got with Frisco, and then with Corey with New England. So no, I never thought of him as great. That's why I can't call him bums. It wasn't like I feel like it or nothing like that. He did pretty good. He had pretty good careers. They weren't guys that I was gonna look around and think, oh, they're gonna be in the category with Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, and Thurman Thomas, and that no, 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 or Jerome Bettis or something like that. No. I got edge. Tiki was good. He fumbled too much, and his attitude was kind of funky. But Edge was a good fit. Edge came up big. Edge came up big. He complimented. But Tiki was good. I mean, he just wasn't consistent. That's all. And he didn't really want it. Edge wanted it more. Edge was on point. I like Edge better. I think Tiki had to stayed with it because he was actually getting better when he stopped fumbling. He got better. He just wasn't. I don't think he was really wanting it though. I'm not gonna call him a bum or nothing. I think he was gonna be that really good, very good. Not gonna be great. You know, but I like the Edge though. Edge was a good compliment. Listen, I'm gonna say it like this. That's a good one because that's how slick you are. You know who I would pick. For me personally, I go with Marcus Allen because I like Marcus better. But if you ask me who was the better back, it's Tomlinson. And Marcus got white ball once Bo Jackson got to the Raiders. And then, of course, when he got to KC, he was scoring touchdowns, but it wasn't the same. Thompson was a league MVP, a top tier back. Marcus came off big in the Super Bowl. I like Marcus more, but Tomlinson will have the better. I think Marcus is underrated. I would prefer Marcus, but Tomlinson gonna come off on top because of what he did. So it's just one of those things that because I seen them both, you know, and sometimes you have to admit, but you don't want to admit. That's all. Yeah, but Roger Craig used to. I mean, Craig didn't do that, but Roger Craig was like a prototype for a lot of that. But I mean, I'm just saying, Marcus could catch the ball too. Marcus just got white ball. That's all. My only problem with Tomlinson, he didn't do much in the postseason. I wasn't even feeling him in the postseason. So again, this is another one of them where Emmett's gonna have the better stats. Emmett's gonna stand out more, but Peterson moved me more. And I really don't even get compared with these two because I never had anyone ever, you know. Um, but I like AP more for the burst, but Emmett was tough. So Emmett from a historical perspective will get that, but I like AP more. So I have to like quantify, I have to like say it in a way where it'll balance out. But it's a good way that you're doing it because the way you're picking a veteran all time legendary in two different dynamics. I do believe if AP had a legit quarterback in a situation, he could have had at least a ring or two. And I do believe that had he not been white ball spanking his kids behind, he could have been a threat maybe for the rushing record because he was bad, but he's kind of forgotten in a way. But he's still relatively healthy too. one of those guys that stayed. So, but that's a good one though. That's a good matchup. You know. Now, if you ask me, Ladanian versus AP, I'm taking. That would be kind of tough. I think I take Peterson. If you ask me Marcus or Emmett, I'm taking Marcus. But this is good how you did it. I'm not the biggest Emmett Smith fan, but I will say this: he's one of the toughest, most clutchest backs ever. He was tough. I'm more of a Rod Woodson dude. I like the way Woodson covered a little bit more. And I think he's almost underrated. But Reeves was nice though. I mean, I'm not taking nothing from him. But Woodson was one of those guys who had them burners, and I just like the way he played more. That's all. It's more of a preference. Sometimes it comes down to preference. But see, I have to say it differently when I do about the running backs because both these guys. I think if you ask honestly, I think Reeves gets more hype than Rod does. But Rod was bad though. Rod was bad. Cameron Green gets lost because he played with Greg Lloyd, and Pittsburgh only went to that one runner up against Dallas, and that's what hurt them. They lost that one to San Diego, which they should have won. They should have had like a mini run, and they lost that game to Stan Humphries and them, and that's kind of what hurt Pittsburgh because their defense was nasty. Rod Woodson is underrated. I concur. I concur. It be like that sometime too. I wouldn't call him a bum. He was okay. Can't call him a bum because I had no expectations for him. I guess if you want to call him a bum in comparison to Dan Fouts, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and now Justin Herbert, yeah, because I'm four better than him. But he's the only one that got him to a Super Bowl. So what's that say about those other guys? But I didn't think much of him, no. But he had that one year, he did get him to a Super Bowl. Can't call a cat who I think overachieved a bum. Can't. He's a runner up. No bums. Because remember, if you're a bum in my see a bum in my definition is a guy who has possessed a chance to be great, but he downplays his level. He looks great to good, but then he'll settle for average, and then he'll just be whatever. That's like Jeff George. That's like Jake Plummer. Guys who have incredible arms. Rex Grossman is probably the greatest quarterback that if you were just going 90 yards down the field to the 10-yard line, but when he gets inside the 10, that's when he choked. But as far as getting you 80, 90 yards, Rex could do that. He just can't finish. Terovis. I just never thought much of him, though. To me, he was a middle second tier dude. Yeah, it's true. So watch his games, and it's somebody getting about and we get in the red zone, he just choked. Because he could drive that ball, but then he just choked. Kind of like how he did that Super Bowl. He just dribbling the ball and just fumbling. No, I don't look at mm-mm. Mm-mm. Now I've had quarterbacks that I didn't expect nothing to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you could say he was a scrub. Now you tell me like David Woodley from Miami. I remember '82 against Washington. I didn't see that coming. But Don Shula, great coach, did that. Um, Jake De La Home for Carolina. I didn't see that going. He went. Kerry Collins, Kerry Collins was actually like a broke Jay Cutler, but he could quarterback. He just wasn't. He had a decent arm and he was consistent. You know, so it's a touchy subject, but no, no, no. Well, Tony Easton. Okay, I'll say this: Grogan wasn't no bum. Grogan was good. Tony Easton was pretty much a never was. I remember. I remember. And they got their butt lit up. But that 85, that defensive Bears tore they behind up. Now they were decent that year. What happened was I want to say was it Andre Tippett was going off at linebacker, and I want to say Sam Cunningham. I forgot who was the running back. No, Stanley Morgan was still going. They had a decent squad. They had a decent squad. It's hard to think about the Patriots back then, life before Brady and that, because that was just not quite till Drew Bledsoe got there and they got the runner up, lost to Green Bay in the Super Bowl. It's kind of hard to imagine because it wasn't as spoiled with their dominance. Chandler was decent, not great or nothing or good, but he was decent. Jamal was the dirty bird. He kind of flash in the pan though in hindsight, kind of like the Icky shuffle, because he had that little moment and then it kind of came and it went. You know, he had a moment. He had a moment. He had a moment. Yeah, he did. He did, and that's why he comes falls under a great quarterback and also an overrated quarterback. Overrated and you know great and overrated. Successful, but he gave you a lot of heartache. He's a twofold. There are guys that are twofolds. Two things can be true at the same time. That's what made him overrated because he had some bad situations where had he just, but again, a lot against Dallas, and a lot of times he just didn't read well, and he was a gunslinger. So that happened. Yeah, but the difference is that Mahomes doesn't tend to make the kind of mistakes that puts his team at okay, he can't come back. That's the difference. But also, I'm gonna say this too: Mahomes ain't really felt gone against too many defenses that he couldn't come back against. Very seldom. Defense back then was different than today. Different, very different. Favre went against Dallas's defense and they put a hurting on you. It's different. So, but they are different quarterbacks. Mahomes didn't take those kind of gambles. He's actually figured out a way to maneuver him, get himself back. So that's the difference. Plus, Mahomes doesn't have as many picks as Favre did. Favre was just really letting it loose, you know, and he wasn't dominant like Mahomes. I mean, the stats point out that itself. Nick Wright had a big old chart about their postseason charting, and Mahomes is like number one in all the rankings. So he don't make a lot of those kind of mistakes. He makes mistakes, but not like that. Oh yeah, oh yeah. With the right quarterback, he would have been in the same conversation with Irvin and Jerry Rice and Andre Reed with the right quarterback situation. Because he wins another ring or two in Green Bay, yeah, because he was nice. I still remember that game against Chicago where he caught that ball off the ricochet or something and he ran the end zone Monday Night Football. Freeman was nice. So, but, again, everybody ain't created the same. That's the truth. But I don't look at Mahomes as a slinger like that. He was nice. I like Driver. Y'all had some good receivers. Y'all had some tight receivers. You know, I mean, some of the stuff y'all had, I'd say, is more towards stat patterns because I don't think that you had guys that were tight. But when we talking next level guys, that's another story. You know, but everything was centered around your quarterbacks. So, you know, and your defense to an extent. So, but yeah, I like Driver. I'm not arguing that. Not arguing that at all. I'm not taking nothing away because Green Bay was must see. Okay. Not in mine, but okay. I mean, he was a freak. He just didn't move me like that though. That's all. But I don't have anything against anybody that does though. I'm not gonna make a stank about it. I do understand people that like him, but I thought he was tough for his era, but I'm not, again, you know, it all depends on what your top five, it all depends on different people's top five. That's all. I mean, if you ask me, I got Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, T.O., um, well, that's a reason why you retire. That'll make you retire with quickness. And I still don't remember Dan Orlovsky's quarterback. And you know, um, you know, but those guys come to mind. Some people say Michael Irvin, top five, depends on where you come down. Um, depends on what guys you're looking at. I thought Steve Largent gets love. Um, you know, just depends. John Stallworth is underrated to me. Uh, Marvin Harrison. Just depends. Tyreek Hill. Yep, I like Art Monk. Monk was bad. Monk was bad. He was a big, big, strong receiver too. Came up big. Washington was something else back then. I remember I lived in that area. Andre Johnson has stats. He just didn't have the right quarterback. Matt Schultz didn't really take him nowhere. Jimmy Smith was underrated, you know, played in the wrong market. And had he won with a bigger place, I think history looks at him differently. Same thing with Johnson, probably. Play somewhere bigger, probably get more wrecked. But, Art Monk kind of got the downplay too. Monk was bad, though, you know. And those guys put up crazy numbers. I remember Rod Smith with Denver. He could hit them fly patterns. Doug Baldwin was good. But Doug Baldwin's problem in Seattle is that, man, they got, um, DJ Metcalf. They always come up with tight receivers in Seattle now. So you can get kind of forgotten. Kind of can be. Rod Smith was tough. So was McCaffrey. McCaffrey's dad Ed was bad. I mean, so yeah. So again, it depends on who your quarterback, your system is. There's a lot of factors involved. A lot of systems. I like Mosi Muhammad. He was good, not great, but good. I liked him. Scene was nice. Bone was a big boy. Kind of made me think of updated Monk. Hands could move. Mose just didn't have the right quarterback because he had skills. He could definitely go deep. Just didn't have the right quarterback. And got Flutie. He was a bit older. That's the thing. Timing is everything. Musin was nice too. I think Kerry Collins was there. But again, a lot of these guys just didn't play with the, you know. You put Baldwin with Purdy, that'd be interesting. You put Mosi Muhammad with Cam, that would have been interesting. And if you put Eric Mose with Josh Allen, there you go. So timing is everything. If you can make a break. Yeah, I think a Jerry Goff had Megatron stupid. Plex Plex's problem is that he got bigger with New York for catching the Super Bowl prediction and playing with Eli, but his best ball was with Pittsburgh. That's what works against him. Because with Pittsburgh and Roethlisberger, that's where his best rawness was. But being with the Giants and the way he called the game and he hit to score the game with touchdown. So he's one of those guys that's a victim of timing and placement. But then after that gun charge situation, he pretty much, he wasn't going to be considered great, but could have been considered in the good. I do like Plex though. Yeah, you can be underrated, but you still fall in the good category. I don't consider none of those guys great. I think Monk was great. Well, I told you, Santonio Holmes was kind of like the James Posey, Eddie House, Robert Ory type. One of those guys in the postseason. Typical Pittsburgh Steeler guy too, like that. Steve Smith was nasty. Steve Smith was like the Allen Iverson of receivers to me. Okay. Yeah, he just didn't get to play with Cam, and he was old when they got, 'cause he never had the right, he never, he had Jake Del home. But I'm a firm believer if he has someone like Cam, you know, and same thing with Cam too. So I like Steve Smith. So good calls on those. Depends on who you're playing with, though. Depends on who you're playing with. Yeah, with Steve Smith, and I do because the low smaller guy, tough fighter. That's what Steve Smith was a receiver. Allen Iverson got a Blazer job. I ain't quite heard nothing. But what's up? I haven't heard nothing. He'd have to go where he's wanted, though. I mean, uh, they didn't want to touch him in Philly. But yeah, Iverson is still. Sometimes I'm one of those kind of people. Like I do cross sports references, or I might do music references. I see a guy kind of put me in a frame of mind. Now that's true. That's why I say it's Steve Smith. I do, because sometimes they make or break you. Even a guy that's considered great can look better if a receiver makes him look good. Because oh, you talking about basketball? I'm talking about the football. Steve Smith Senior. Well, he played there. That's why Steve Smith would have it. Steve Smith did play for Portland, in 2020, 2000, when they lost game 7 to the Lakers. He was so, and he has a good voice. He's a good commentator. So that's not a surprise. I think he was on NBA TV too. Not a surprise though. He does have a voice for TV. Steve's cool. He's good folks. If Iverson got a job in Portland, I'd be kind of like, okay, wow. But it wouldn't surprise me. I figure because that's usually how it goes. You know, guys that you think that should be taken care of by the team that they're known for. That's like when D Wade ended up in Utah with part ownership. Miami didn't take care of him, or Jordan with Washington. You know, so Danny Ainge did initially get taken care of by Boston, but he's elsewhere now too. So no one remembers all that. No one remembers all that. People got caught in a coma. They don't remember that. See, Brock Osweiler is like a bad joke, and you know why too. You know why? Because I think he got traded to Cleveland, and you know how Cleveland has a revolving door of quarterbacks. Like they told him thanks, but no thanks. I'm like, dang, wow, they turned you down. You suck. I mean, that's like the big S logo of suck. Brock Osweiler, you suck. And they told him thanks, but no thanks. Like Cleveland can be picky about a quarterback. I mean, for crying out loud. Yeah, but you do get receivers that cover guys. I told you Andre Johnson did in Houston with Matt Schloss. Matt Schloss was a buster through some bad picks. Andre looked good. Yeah, it happens a lot. You know, that's why Jefferson is dying in Minnesota right now. He helped Kirk Cousins whack behind. So anyway, Seneca was a never was. I mean, it's Scrubville, but I mean, I mean, I mean, Seneca Wallace. I mean, it was like really, it was signed NAG free. Yep, that one. No, free wasn't even a bum. He was a scrub. I mean, they was past scrubs. Those some never was. Some of them guys. I'm thinking y'all must got some video on somebody because y'all lining up under what? So So Sean King, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Remember, got him to the NFC Championship game. That's how you know Tony Dungy was a great coach because he sucked, but he got to the NFC Championship game. I remember. I remember. And if it wasn't for Kurt Warner throwing that fade to Ricky Prohl on 3rd and goal, Tampa Bay would have beaten the mighty Greatest Show on Turf. That was an ugly game too. They had to win ugly too. They had to win ugly to win that. They had to win ugly to beat Tennessee. So I remember both of that. Remember both of that. Well, he was a third slot receiver, but he came up big for what he did, third tier cat, play second tier. One thing about the Rams, they do be making some receivers. They produce receivers, if nothing else. They make receivers. Quarterbacking and they line be kind of funny time, but the receivers. So the pro was cool. Pro was cool. He was. Yep. They always did. They always had guys. Mm-hmm. And they did get the 2 Super Bowls and they won one, lost one. So, you know. But the only problem with that is that run, the way they played, is eventually you're letting everybody attack the quarterback. So eventually you're going to take a pounding with that style. But they were nice though. Yeah, but the problem is that they slot guys and they still missing that guy that circulates the field. They don't really have that dude who circulates it to bring Josh Allen in because everything is still down the field. I'm talking about a cat who does the 5 to 10 yard routes, slants. It's technique. I don't like what I see with technique. That's how they get in trouble. Everything is like a broke, it has to be a hit down the field as opposed to dink and dunking a guy that can create. They don't simplify the game for him. That's the kind of receiver. If you have a receiver that's respected, he'll get like 3 or 4 catches just on little drops. They don't simplify the game. So he can't because they're not calling it. It's a different day and era. Got a good tight end too, but it's just that it's not utilized. He gets caught stargazing. He's looking 15, 20 yards downfield. That's what's up. So and that's one of the problems. But again, you know, they don't play smart. They play like a team that's they think they try to turn it on, turn it off. Allen, Coca he do be kind of jicky sometimes because sometimes he'll throw some bad picks and just like he's just throwing things into the deer and he just turned the ball over. And then it's like he wakes up and he's like he snaps out of it. He do be kind of like he's in a coma, like he's deranged. I don't know. I don't always like the way he plays sometimes. That's why I can't really get up as much as I want to. Is he talented? Yes. But it's mentally he just don't, skill sets off the chain, but it's mental. That's the difference between him and Mahomes. And Mahomes knows he can beat him. It's almost sometimes like how they got themselves where they had to win all those games just to get in the postseason and beat Miami. And he stunk against Miami in that last game. Messed up down there by the goal line. Always coming up doing too much or doing just not finishing up. Just doesn't have it mentally. That's the problem. That's it in a nutshell. Short arms of pass, just doesn't finish. So, you can be talented as all get out, but if you don't know how to finish, trade up and get what? What they need is a defensive front. They can find another sidekick or receiver. But if Diggs stays, they still need to get another playmaker. That's what they're missing. They need a top flight playmaker to utilize those other receivers. I like James Cook out the backfield, so I'd utilize that. They just have to simplify and add to their offensive repertoire. But they got to get a defensive front. They got to get something. I know Milano's coming back, but they've been getting beat by Kansas City. Kansas City been pounding them. Don't respect them. It's one thing if you get beat by Mahomes' arm, but you can't be getting grounded up. They've been getting grounded up. So that's my biggest problem. He can get healthy, but he ain't gonna be the cat he was 3 or 4 years ago. That's the problem. He's not that dude no more. He's not that dude no more. I like him, but he's not that cat no more. And that's the hard cold facts. You know, the Von Miller you're talking about was in Denver. That dude is gone. They don't even do that accurately though. And they struggle against scrub teams. The way they lost to the Jets, they got because Josh got greedy and threw bad picks the first game. I knew that's the season was over right there. The way they lost that first game. The Jets were done when Aaron Rodgers went down. They let Zach Wilson get momentum. They play New England. They let Mac Jones have his best game. The problem with them is that they try to play up or downplay to who they're playing. They act like a team that's got 2 or 3 rings. They act like they Kansas City. That's the problem I have with them. They're more arrogant and they on this false bravado that they can play like that. Somebody got to tell them you ain't won no ring. You won division titles. You know, he didn't look like Mahomes, but he looked like Joe Flacco. I'll say more Flacco than Mahomes. No, he didn't whip up on us like that. He looked more like Flacco. He did the things that you're supposed to and connected the dots and hit ways. Because he had a bad interception in the game. And he was looking like himself. I remember that game. But they made Mac Jones look like Mahomes. I'll give you that. Mac Jones, mac and cheese lit our butt up. He was getting anything he wanted. And I'm like, okay, y'all can put a hand on him anytime you want. So who looked like a serviceable QB? Zach did. Now Mac Jones was looking like Mahomes against us. That game that the New England beat us in New England. Oh yeah, he was balling. He ain't played like that since. His butt been riding on the pine. Yeah, well, and see him looking serviceable is a nice, cute way of saying he's horrible. That's what that means in English, because he sucks. But he do. He do. I don't care what the coach says. He sucks. They know he sucks too. They trying to make something look like it's more than it is, and they know he's putrid. But I knew when we lost that first game, we were done, regardless of what we did. It's a mental thing. I had to win that game and had to make a statement too. Had to knock them out and didn't do it. So they know he is. They can't get rid of him. Cause I mean, look at what the Jets got. You know. And they hoping Aaron Rodgers comes back. And he got tackled by a ghost. He had a ghost sack. Because his body's giving out. Good luck though. So yeah, well they know he a scrub. They know he is. Everybody had a chance at Lamar, but because he wanted to be his own man agent, they hated. Everybody had a chance at Lamar. Well, they might have been better. They got a good defense. They would have been more of a threat, you know. And they better hope Lamar don't never get to the Super Bowl and win and get an MVP. Oh God. You see what he did against them with what he's got on offense? You put him with Tyreek and Waddle. Oh God. And he put a 40 burger, 50 burger on them. Oh man, with Tyreek and him. Oh Lord. You thought they put something on Denver. That mess would probably been pushing 100. Probably put a Benji on him. Because I'm gonna say it for the record, he twice the quarterback Tua is. You give Lamar that kind of offense, then Mahomes will really have to. I'd still say Mahomes is better, but that we beat Tua, and I mean we do a good job against them, but a lot of that's because of like you said with Tua, different Lamar. But we've had pretty good success against Lamar too, so don't act like we can't beat him. And let's not get it twisted. There's still a gap between Mahomes and Lamar. But I know what you're getting at. He had goes back to what I say, a black quarterback with a legit offense. Even though two is black, but let me, you know what I mean though. Lamar is better though. Lamar is better, you know, because he's getting excited about getting ODB, who's now about 20, 30 years later. Think about if he had Tyreek. Oh, they win the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. And Shanahan will be looking like Andy Reid. And Shanahan will be looking better than his daddy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They win the Super Bowl with Lamar. Because a lot of people have forgotten that Lamar is as poised as Joe Burrows. It's just that he don't have the talent around him. People forget. But he's got 2 league MVPs in the last 5 years. That counts for a heck of a lot. And now he's been to an AFC championship game. It's just a matter he breaks through and he wins. He won't be on the same page as Mahomes, but he will be that bottom in the top 10 because he'll have all kinds of crazy awards if he does. And Lord knows, Lamar is the kind of dude that he is tough. He tough. He tough. And I like Lamar a lot too. So just saying. I said if you ever give him some offense, watch out. So yeah, he is. He is. But he ain't gonna get chumped either though. And they definitely try to chump him. So Okay, I'm gonna be on for a few more minutes. Then I'm gonna because I gotta go make that inroads. Like I said, I got back late tonight. Tomorrow will be on longer. Tonight I gotta kind of cut, but tomorrow will be on longer for sure. We went with more football, which was cool. We did some more football tonight, which was cool. Tomorrow night we can talk about the NBA. I'll tackle that. I'll talk more football, but I'll tackle, you know, some NBA things coming through. But I do like Lamar. I like Lamar. I think if he played with a legit team, yeah. I think if Lamar had been with Detroit. Well, I can't even hold nothing against Jared Goff. He did pretty good this year. I can't even hold it against him. But I think with Frisco, yeah, they win. I think if he was with Dallas, they win too. But don't tell him I said that. He too black for Dallas, but I think they would be scary. Because I think that's what them Cowboys is mentioning, missing is that soul brother, and they not getting it from Dak. Just saying. So okay, I'm gonna get ready to cut it up. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace and the best. Glad you came through, Ted. Thank you for coming through. Great questions, great takes. We will continue tomorrow, and I will catch you. Have a good one. Peace the best. Stay warm, stay cool, stay soul. Right on. Appreciate you. I'm out.